She was only 5 years old, and as she lay dying from a gunshot wound to the head, her mother claimed that her toddler son pulled the trigger, but the truth was far darker and far more deliberate. The crime shocked Tennessee. A mother calling 911 in tears, reporting a tragic accident, claiming her 2-year-old son had just shot her daughter. A horrible mistake, a child's death. But investigators would soon learn this wasn't a mistake, it was a lie. A carefully constructed story to cover up the unthinkable. Before the headlines, before the trial, and before the betrayal unraveled, there was just a little girl, bright-eyed, playful, and completely unaware of the danger she lived with every day. This is the story of Destiny Oliver, a 5-year-old child who should have been starting kindergarten, learning to read, and playing in the backyard. Instead, her life was cut short in her own home, by someone she trusted more than anyone else in the world. Let's rewind the clock and start where every story deserves to begin, with the victim. Destiny. Marie Oliver was born in 2014 in Knoxville, Tennessee. Her name spoke of hope, of meaning, destiny. She was described by extended family and community members as a joyful child, one of those little girls who could light up a room simply by walking into it. Her hair was usually pulled back in small braids, and her favorite color was pink. She loved dolls, cartoons, and helping her baby brother Gavin find his toys. She lived in a modest home in Fountain City, a residential neighborhood just north of downtown Knoxville. Destiny lived with her mother, Robin Rebecca Howington, and her younger brother Gavin, who was just 2 years old at the time of the incident. She had recently begun visiting a local preschool program and was getting excited about Big Kids School. She didn't know much about the world yet, but she knew what love felt like, at least the kind that came from innocence. But what no one saw, or what some may have ignored, was that her home wasn't as safe as it looked from the outside. Destiny's family life was unstable. Her biological father, Antoine Oliver, had shared custody but was often sidelined by Robin's erratic behavior. Robin and Antoine had split years earlier, and though he attempted to remain involved, Robin frequently made it difficult. According to court records, she had previously made claims against Antoine that never resulted in charges, but created a long-standing tension between the two. Robin was known to authorities. There had been past allegations of drug use, neglect, and instability, though none had led to Destiny being removed from the home. In hindsight, the signs of danger were there. But as with many child victims, those warning signs were subtle, or ignored, until it was too late. Those closest to Destiny said she loved her little brother more than anything. She would often be seen holding his hand while they walked outside together. She would try to comfort him when he cried. She was 5, but she already had the heart of a caregiver, a protector. That makes what happened all the more tragic. The days leading up to September 14th, 2019 seemed ordinary. At around 1:15 p.m., Robin Howington called 911. Her voice was frantic. She told dispatchers that her 2-year-old son had found a gun in the house and accidentally shot Destiny in the head. She begged for help. She cried. She sounded devastated. Police and EMS arrived within minutes. They found Destiny barely clinging to life, with a gunshot wound to her head. Blood pooled around her on the floor. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, but her injuries were catastrophic. She was placed on life support. Doctors did everything they could, but within hours, she was gone. Just 5 years old, dead from a bullet to the skull. And the story Robin gave to authorities was about to start falling apart. At first, Robin told police that Gavin, just 2 years old, had found the gun and pulled the trigger. But in separate interviews, her story began to shift. She later told officers that maybe it wasn't Gavin, maybe it was an unknown intruder. Then, in a bizarre twist, she suggested it may have been Antoine Oliver, Destiny's father, someone who, by then, had already been ruled out and who had no alibi, placing him near the scene. Investigators began growing suspicious. Why was Robin changing her story? Then they found the surveillance footage. In nearby surveillance from a neighbor's home camera, police spotted something chilling. Robin was seen leaving the house after the shooting, holding a gun in her hands. She ran into nearby bushes. Moments later, she returned, this time without the weapon. Police searched the area Robin had fled to and recovered the weapon, wiped clean of fingerprints. They also found that Robin had attempted to destroy her cell phone, smashing it and removing the SIM card before emergency crews arrived. It was no longer just a tragic accident. Something was being hidden, covered up. The question now wasn't just how Destiny died, it was why her mother was lying about it, and what else she was trying to hide. The truth about what happened to Destiny Oliver was darker than anyone expected. As detectives pulled back the layers of Robin's story, a portrait of a mother willing to blame her own toddler son, and possibly frame others, began to emerge. A 5-year-old girl was dead from a gunshot wound. Her mother claimed her toddler son pulled the trigger. But within hours, her story began falling apart. And when police checked the neighborhood surveillance footage, they saw Robin running, gun in hand. In early 2020, after forensic evidence, video surveillance, and witness statements were reviewed, Robin Howington was formally charged with felony murder, aggravated child abuse and neglect, filing a false report, tampering with evidence, attempted tampering with evidence. Prosecutors emphasized how Robin had tried to shift blame from herself to her toddler and then to her ex-partner, all while hiding the very weapon that killed her daughter. It was no longer a mystery, it was now a case of a calculated cover-up. It took several months of investigation, interviews, and forensic analysis. But by early 2020, the Knox County District Attorney's Office made it official. Robin Rebecca Howington was charged with multiple felonies in connection with the death of her 5-year-old daughter, Destiny Oliver. The charges were heavy, among them felony murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated child neglect, filing a false report, tampering with evidence, attempted destruction of evidence. She was arrested and taken into custody at the Knox County Jail, where she would remain for nearly 4 years awaiting trial. At the time of her arrest, Robin had not confessed. She still maintained that it had all been a tragic misunderstanding. But the state didn't agree, and neither did the mounting physical evidence. While Robin sat behind bars, Destiny's biological father, Antoine Oliver, was left in the shadows of a case that had nearly framed him. During the early days of the investigation, Robin had told officers that Antoine may have been the shooter. There was no truth to it, but it caused such suspicion that Antoine was barred from attending his own daughter's funeral while the investigation was ongoing. Later, when police cleared him and acknowledged Robin's manipulation, Antoine issued a single statement through his attorney. "I've lost my daughter and I lost the chance to say goodbye. I just want justice." His grief remained mostly private. But the weight of being accused, even briefly, left permanent scars. While Robin waited for her day in court, prosecutors worked to organize their case. They had surveillance footage of Robin discarding the murder weapon, ballistics reports showing the bullet matched her handgun, no fingerprints from Gavin or any intruder on the weapon, forensic analysis showing Robin attempted to wipe the gun clean, phone data recovery revealing deleted texts and search history about removing prints, and police data extraction. In short, an airtight case. But Robin's legal team was preparing a different narrative, that this was reckless behavior, not cold-blooded murder, that Robin had panicked after the shooting, that she may have been under the influence, that the event was accidental, even if her behavior afterward was damning. It was a bold defense. The question was, would the jury buy it? The case didn't reach trial until March 2024, nearly 4.5 years after Destiny's death. Why so long? According to legal filings, the delays were attributed to backlogs in forensic analysis, defense motions to suppress evidence, COVID-related trial delays in Tennessee courts, and repeated requests for psychological evaluations of Robin. During those years, Robin remained in custody. No bail was granted. Meanwhile, the community waited. Destiny's extended family grieved in silence. There were no public vigils, no viral hashtags, just quiet pain. But that all changed when courtroom doors finally opened in March 2024. Robin entered the Knox County courtroom in shackles, flanked by public defenders. Her hair was longer, her face tired, her charges severe. The courtroom was quiet. Journalists from local stations, including WVLT and Court TV, lined the backbenches. They laid out the timeline, the shooting, the shifting stories, the surveillance video, the attempt to wipe the gun, the smashed phone, the effort to blame others. Robin's team didn't deny that Destiny had died from Robin's gun, nor did they deny that Robin had disposed of the weapon. We often talk about justice in numbers: years sentenced, charges filed, cases closed. But what number is high enough to replace a life? What punishment is heavy enough to bring peace to a child's memory, Destiny? Marie, Oliver never had a voice in what happened to her. So today, let her memory speak for itself. If this story moved you, if you believe Destiny's name deserves to be remembered, help us amplify it. Leave a comment below. How do we protect children like Destiny before it's too late? Subscribe if you believe stories like these deserve a voice. And share this video, because sometimes the only way to fight silence is to speak up. Thank you for watching. May Destiny rest in peace. And may we never forget the little girl whose mother took everything from her.